Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Oakcast, your island gateway to all things geek. It's another Hebridean Hammerlock, taking a look into the world of wrestling. So, tonight's guest, the one and only Rubi Roberts, she slays basics. We're very basic here, so this should be a lot of fun for us. With that, I will introduce Graeme, my co-host tonight. How are you doing? I know you're
Uh,
struggling a little bit tonight.
I'm here. I'm powering through it. I'm looking forward to this. This will be fun.
Yes. Yeah, that's me. You're going to talk some wrestling for now. What could be better?
Exactly.
But with that, and with that, obviously, as you can see up above us, our special guest tonight, Rubi Roberts, Ruby the Basic Witch Slayer. Which one do you go by more or prefer? I don't know.
So it's Ruby is fine. But Ruby the Basic Bitch Slayer is my normal moniker, and I also now go by Ruby the Gothic Schemie.
All right. Loving it. That's fun. Okay.
Do what you know.
Yep. And so with that, Graeme, you can take it away from here.
Okay, we'll start where we always start. How did you get into wrestling?
So I was a massive wrestling fan as a child, but we were like, as the name suggests, scheming it. So we didn't really have the money for like pay-per-views or for me to get to see it very often. It was only really when I went to my gran's and I could see it on a Saturday morning on Saturday morning SmackDown, or if I could get to someone's house if they had videotaped the pay-per-view, I could then watch it at their house. But I kind of came away from wrestling. It was something I always wanted to do. Like I wanted to be Chyna. I had it in my head when I was wee that I was going to be like 6 foot tall and muscly. Didn't quite get to 6 foot tall. We're about 5'6", but you know, it's not bad. But yeah, I desperately wanted to be Chyna when I was younger, and I didn't know that there was sort of an avenue in Scotland to be able to do that. I thought it was something you could only do in America. Which, to be fair, in the 90s, it kind of was, or you had to like move down to England to do it. It wasn't really easy to do. And it wasn't till I was kind of much older that I sort of came back into wrestling. Someone took me to a live show. It was the first ever Fierce Female show, and in the Arches. And it was, watching it, I'd never seen an all-female show before, and was just like, oh, I want to do this. So I gave it a wee try at Source Wrestling in, I think it was 2011. But at the time, I was a single parent, I was working, and I got an injury at work where I ended up needing surgery in my shoulder. So it just wasn't the time. And then years later, a whole bunch of things end up happening. I end up chronically ill and quite a lot heavier than I am now. And I had a walking stick, and I bumped into my cousin Bobby Roberts, and basically informed me that he was opening his own school called Respect Pro Wrestling, and he had suggested that I use wrestling to try and rehabilitate myself and maybe try and get some of my mobility back. So I was like, do you know what? I've tried literally everything else. At this point, I'd done Tai Chi, and I tried yoga, and I tried Zumba, and I tried diets and all these many different things. I was like, do you know what? Let's just give it a go. What's the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to get worse or like possibly get much better. So let's do it. And at that point, I didn't really think I would be able to do anything, to be honest. I just kind of wanted to get a bit of movement back. But kind of as I kept doing it and kept sort of pushing to be able to keep going, even through pain and various sort of consequences for pushing myself to do it, despite being in pain and the condition I was in. Eventually, it sort of started. I started realizing I could do this. Like I'm getting stronger. I'm managing to lose a bit of weight. I'm moving much better, and my confidence was really coming back. And that was when I was like, oh, I could do this in front of a crowd. Like I had a long way to go, but I was like, I can see it happening. And that was the kind of moment I was like, oh, I'm going to be a wrestler. This is happening. I'm doing it. I'm going to be a wrestler. I mean, I might be a bit of a broken, disabled wrestler, but I'll be a wrestler. Yeah, so that was kind of how I ended up actually transitioning into doing the thing and not just kind of wanting to do it.
That's brilliant. We've asked everybody we've spoken to what it's like, that very first bump that you take. So I think with that added pressure of, having chronic illness, chronic pain and stuff, How was that?
So with the there were obviously, for the fact that I went to training 2 different times and kind of started over 2 different times, I have 2 very different versions of how this went. Because there was a version when I was much younger and fitter, and then there was a version where I was obviously much less fit and in much worse condition. The first one was funny. The second one was just overcoming a lot of fear. The first one, basically, I was young, did not know what a sports bra was, and had a normal one on and a vest top, and took a bump onto a judo mat, which I was terrified to do, but I just went for it because there was like no reason not to. And the minute I've hit the ground, the middle of the bra has completely broken. And then I've hit the ground, and then everything has
Yeah.
in front of everyone. And do you know that way? It's just that moment you hit the ground and you're like, yep, of course this is happening to me right now in front of all of these people. Oh yeah, that was so many different things all at once, and I can laugh about it now.
Yeah.
The second time was very, very different. I remembered what had happened the first time, so came prepared, but it was very much a case of I had built up all of these new fears about what might happen if I do something. So I had tried to remain active even though I was losing mobility. And through doing that, I'd had various accidents, strains, pulls, injuries that that happened for very silly, small reasons. So to think about physically throwing myself at the ground to make myself get used to the impact was terrifying. And it genuinely took me about 6 months to be able to build up enough courage to do it without kind of trying to keep my feet in the ground or like shitting out of it or crapping out of it, sorry, at the last minute. And yeah, when I finally did it, it was such a big deal because it was something that I had been able to do, then could not do, and they was so scared to do that when I finally did it, I was genuinely almost in tears, to be completely honest with you. And I feel so silly sometimes saying that because it seems like such a basic thing in wrestling. But for me at the time, it was such a hurdle. And when I finally overcame it, I was genuinely just like, I just did that. That was me. I did that. Did you see me do that with my legs? Yay.
I don't think there's anything to sort of be embarrassed about with that because we know that when somebody's got any sort of chronic illness, chronic pain or whatever, you start to put barriers up for yourself that might not be there. So, it may have taken a wee bit longer than other people, but you've seen that barrier and you've smashed right through it.
So, yeah, that's very true. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's I'm just bringing it up there, Graeme. It seems to be a recurring theme with the wrestlers we have spoken to. They've all had a barrier to overcome to get there. Mm-hmm. Like with Big Rig, he came into it a bit later in life, and he was quite heavy as well. It's just it's very interesting just how similar things we see as we speak to more wrestlers. They've always had a barrier or a struggle, and wrestling helped them get through that.
I think wrestling's one of those things that there's so many of us enjoy it as kids, but I think those of us that kind of keep in with it or like come back to it, I think it's because it resonates with us when we're younger, and it's the stories that are told and how they relate to some of the things that we have to go through as kids that we maybe shouldn't have to, or like bullying or like various things. And I think that sort of gives all of us a lot of sort of commonality that draws us to wrestling. And I think that's why a lot of us have these sort of stories that wrestling has then helped us work through. I'm not gonna lie, best therapy I've ever had, ever. Like, you get to act out ridiculous situations, you get to work on your confidence, your body, your everything, every aspect of it is reflected in sort of an aspect of your life and your being. So it's one of the most sort of cathartic things you can really do for yourself. It's kind of why I encourage everyone to try and give it a go at least once if they can, because it's not just like a great physical sport, but it's something that can really help you understand yourself as a person.
Yeah, because what you're saying there, and also like this week, you put up the post that this is the first time you've ever worn a two-piece, and you've been wearing
Yep.
it. But even at the beginning, like, did you find people, even regardless of your size, the wrestling community was just accepted you anyway?
Yeah,
But-
yeah. Like wrestling's one of these great things where there's a place for everyone.
Yeah.
No matter your size, your ability, your interest, like there is a character to be made, there's a story to be told, there
Yeah.
is some way for you to use your body and your voice to be able to portray that. And that can be regardless of disability, it can be regardless of how shy you are, because you could develop this character who isn't you and who is much bigger than you, and you get to pretend not to be that person. There's various other things like being involved in production or photography or hundreds of different bits of sort of wrestling that are around the actual performance part that mean that it's a really sort of widely accessible thing that people can get involved in.
Yeah, it's quite interesting that, because a lot of people, when they think of wrestling, they think of the 80s. And it was like essentially macho testosterone, literally pumped full of testosterone, some of them, and steroids. And it's just amazing how it's now seen as this very inclusive and welcoming place.
Yeah, it's a lot of work's been done in wrestling over the years. Like, I mean, look at the 90s. Like, I loved wrestling in the 90s. Did I personally necessarily love watching bra and panty matches all the time? No. But we're not there anymore. Those things happened so that we could get the chance to do it now the way that we want to do it, and with respect. So it's maybe not something that I enjoyed at the time, but it's something that I acknowledge had to happen for us to get to where we are now. And it's not just that, we've got more acceptance with different body types and people. I mean, even within WWE, you've got people like Otis. He was one of my favourites for a wee while. Every time he comes on the screen, I smile. And I love the way that he uses his persona and the way that he does what he does. And it's great to see that on a bigger company like WWE, where you do have somebody every shape and size. I mean, you've got a wee Alexa Bliss and you've got a massive Rhea Ripley who's like 10 foot tall by comparison. You've got these stories where you've got, again, Rey Mysterio, David and Goliath, Nia Jax, Piper Niven from Scotland, from the same place I'm from. Like, literally, you've got all these various different body types and ways of telling all these different stories, and it's just excellent. But all of these things happen now because of where we were.
And I think that's it. It's exactly what you said. There's a place for everyone. There's a story that's going to resonate with everyone. Just speaking as someone who was a teenager in the 90s, the brand panties matches weren't comfortable to watch as a teenage boy either. You know, you're sitting with your folks like, I want to watch the wrestling. Aye, all right.
Yeah.
What are you watching? Oh, it's a bit.
I didn't control the TV. This was not my choice.
It's not my fault that's what's on. But quite similarly, what you described as well about having that sort of early stage where the only way you got to see it was at somebody else's house, or if somebody taped it off a Sky, or because I mean we had like a pecking order for the way that the WrestleMania tape would get passed around school. And
So we all had one friend that we'd all go to their house and we'd all sit in the bedroom with the lights off and all sit and watch it like we were doing something wrong.
See, for me, that was just a wee bit later because we'd started going to the pub by that point, and then it would be the perfect after pub entertainment as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned before that when you were younger as well that the only real options were to go to America or go to England. Were you doing the same sort of things that certainly I was doing, where you're scouring Power Slam magazine and stuff and seeing the wee advert for Hammerlock Wrestling?
Yep. When I could get it, yes, or when I could scadge a copy off my pal. But yeah, or like if we were up at my gran's as well, I was always watching that free wrestling like network that was, I think it was like Sky 28 something, or
Aye.
like I can't remember the exact number, but like I
28.
used to sit and like scroll through to find the wrestling channel, and I'd sit and stick it on until somebody like forced me to turn the TV off.
Yeah, that channel was brilliant. It's sadly missed.
Yeah.
Do you
It was the
remember
only way I
it?
got to see TNA. It was excellent.
Mm-hmm. There was TNA. It was the first place that I watched Noah for a while.
Yeah.
And then the Gaia, the women's wrestling that was on there, the Japanese,
Yeah.
that was an eye opener when you came from seeing the WWE slop for women's matches at that
Yeah.
point, quite frankly, to Gaia and
Aye,
then
by
working
comparison.
backwards.
And as I remember, Graham, was it ITV late on a Friday night, early WCW?
It was a Thursday night,
Was that Thursday night? Yeah.
and they
And
kept
that was
shifting
when
the
it
time
was,
slot.
and that was the man with a job era, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, that was
Yeah.
more WWE was man with a job, but you had classics such as I think
Well,
the one my dad liked was Norman the Lunatic,
and
who went on to be
I liked
Bastian Booger.
the juice, and mine was the juicer
Yeah, Art Bar.
until and then I read up about him and was like, oh dear.
So, fast forward a wee bit. You've done your training. How did you start to come up with Ruby the Basic Bitch Slayer?
So growing up in the 90s, I was a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like, I cannot overstate how much of my personality was basically made by that show. Like, I can literally tell you, I remember watching the very first episode. I could tell you the layout of my mum's living room, where exactly I was sitting. I was 6 years old. Don't know why my parents let that happen. And I remember my dad was in doing the dishes because it was on when my mum was at the gym. So my dad would like just plank me in front of this TV show, thinking that it was appropriate, even though it was a 15. And went and did the dishes and was just in there for like an hour doing the dishes, just totally like, yep, you're fine. Um, so I remember sitting there watching it, and it was like I'd never seen anything like that before. I thought genuinely remember having this moment at 6 years old, going, "That may be the prettiest woman I've ever seen in my life. Oh my god, hello." And just but also there was vampires, and it was really interesting, and I was just like, "Oh, I don't think I'm meant to be watching this. This is great." Which then started a whole lifelong obsession. And then basically through training, I was getting to the point where we were looking at sort of like character and how do I do things, like how do I move about, like what kind of wrestler do I want to be. And the main thing that kind of keeps coming up in my life that's a massive interest for me is Buffy, and it kind of seemed like a natural progression to bring that into what I was doing somehow. Like part of the reason that I've always wanted the blue hair is because of Angel. And
Valeria.
sorry, spoilers if nobody's seen it. But season 5, one of the characters dies and gets taken over by God, and her hair went blue. Not all of it, but like a good majority of it went blue. And from that moment, I was like, see, when my hair starts going white, I'm dyeing it blue. That's what I'm doing. And then unfortunately got my first grey hair at 16 and was like, no, it's a bit too early. No. But when I hit my 30s, I was like, do you know what? I want to do wrestling. I want to be distinctive. I've always wanted the blue hair. We'll do that. Literally the leather jacket that I wear is inspired by Spike. It's black leather the outside, red in the inside. The way that I try and sort of move about, my heel is worked as a heel. That's all inspired by him and various other characters. Actually got to tell James Marsters from the show that.
Did you?
I saw him at Edinburgh Comic Con. And it wasn't the first time I'd met him, but it was like a kind of redemption for me. Like in my head, I'm going, I need to meet this man again because the first time was so bad. It was so bad. I was the overweight with the stick and the very nervous and didn't have any confidence and was very I hadn't really met a celebrity before. and I went to Comic-Con in Braehead at that point and went to pay to go see him, and I got up to him and I'm a wee spike pop head, and the only thing that comes out my mouth is that was it. That was it. And then he's kind of went, okay, and kind of put the arm around me for the photo, and I'm just like, and then he's just moved me. He's just like shoved me on, and I'm like, yeah, I'd have done that to me too. So the second time I met him, it was I want to say 2023, I think it was, and at this point I developed the character. I had my gear, which is all Buffy inspired. It's red, and my logo is Buffy inspired. And I went in with my spike jacket and everything on, and just fully went, because I thought I had like 30 seconds to try and make an impression on this man, and went in and literally was like, I'm a wrestler and I do everything based off Buffy because I'm like the biggest fan of the show and it's everything to me. And like, look, and just kind of like showed him the front of my gear, and then turned round, bent over, and went, see, because my name's written on my arse. And I'm like, I can't believe I've just done that. I can't believe I've just done that. I can't believe I've just done that. So I just keep talking. So I'm like, see if I just keep talking, he won't acknowledge it. Just keep talking. So I then turn around and I'm like, yep, you know, I based so much of what I do on you and like Spike and everything. And like, here's a photo and blah, blah, blah. And by the time I finished talking, I think it'd been like 3 solid minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was expecting him to just kind of be like, can you leave? But he didn't. He just immediately went, that's so cool.
Yeah.
He's like, you have to hit each other. You actually have to make you have to like hit each other and act and react. And there's people right there. That's so cool. And that made my entire life. That was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I've been like in love with that man since I was 8. So like to hear him immediately just be like, oh my God, something I'm doing is like that cool. I was just like, oh, nothing is ever going to top this. I mean, I've ever gotten WWE WrestleMania. That might. But like until then, like nothing is topping that.
The thing is,
he has got a reputation for being one of the loveliest human beings on earth as well.
Yeah, no, he was, because I also went and did the picture with him, and this was like obviously like just after kind of like major COVID stuff, so we were still wearing masks for the majority of like the Comic-Con participation things. The only bit we were really taking off for was the actual photo. So when I went in to do the photo and I took the mask off, he went, well, don't you just look lovely without your mask on? And I was just like, that's just, you're so sweet. Genuinely was like melting inside. And do you know that way, there was a little part of me at the end of it was like, I kind of wish I'd slipped him my phone number, but that would have been weird.
I think the thing is, anybody who's watched the show, regardless of their orientation, I think has a lot of love for Spike or / James Marcos as a person. It's just something.
Just charisma personified.
And I think even the straightest, most alpha males probably questions it watching him. I think it's fair to say something, Graeme.
I'd agree.
Saying I'm the most
alpha. I think we would all go in real life. Yeah, we'll go there.
He's a pretty man.
He is.
He's also just a lovely human being to boot as well, which is amazing.
And he can sing. Like, what is that about? How dare he be this talented, lovely, and pretty? Like, what is that about?
What was it about Buffy that drew you in? I'm going to segue totally here, Cal. We also do a Buffy show, you see.
Right, okay.
Which we've just, the last one we did was season 4, which I don't think is anybody's favourite. But one of the things we keep coming back to with Buffy, like what you said about wrestling, is that there's so much relatability with the stories and what they go through. Is that the sort of thing that drew you in? But it's all set in this world where there's vampires and witches and monsters and.
Yeah, so slightly deep here. So I was like one of those kids that was like horrendously bullied. Like, I always kind of joke that if you've ever seen the movie Carrie, it makes it look like good family fun time. Like, so I was like that one really weird kid who didn't really know how to human. I wasn't diagnosed when I was younger, but I found out in adulthood that I am ADHD, so autistic and ADHD. But in the 90s, that especially for girls, that wasn't a thing. I was just branded a bit chatty and a bit distracted, gifted in some areas but not others. Like, do you know, there was just excuses for all the things. But unfortunately, it meant that I was that kind of weird kid who I was just very much myself, and I didn't really know how not to be. And it kind of got me really badly bullied. Like almost entire primary school, just fully like joining in the whole thing. So when I watched Buffy, it was a bit of an escape for me because there were characters in it that I sort of identified with, but also felt like I could be friends with. And like that was something at the time that was sort of almost like that sounds so sad, but like almost like kind of like a wee surrogate sort of friend situation that made me feel slightly less bad. But also all of the things that Joss Whedon included in the show are metaphors for different things that you go through in adolescence. And because of the type of childhood that I had, I was always slightly or considered like slightly more mature, or like the people I would end up having conversations with weren't the same age as me, they were older than me. So I sort of identified with a lot of those things sort of much earlier than I maybe should have. And then it really sort of cemented the show sort of in my being, to be honest, because I identified so hard with some of these things and seeing how those characters dealt with it. It sort of felt like not exactly a roadmap because, you know, they're killing vampires and things. I can't exactly run about like dealing with my problems that way. But like sort of taking messages from the show and taking comforts that there were some things that I wasn't the only person dealing with. Like there's an episode in season 1. I can't remember the name of it, but it might be Invisible, to be honest. But it's this episode where Shelley Duvall, I think it is, goes invisible because she is ignored and she's bullied and she feels nobody sees her, and it physically manifests that way. And sort of seeing that episode at the time and at the age I was and with what was going on sort of made me feel, well, I'm not the only person that goes through something like this. There's a life after that. There's there's people who go through this and live on past it. So this isn't forever. This is temporary. I just have to get through school and then I can go do my own shit life stuff. So it sort of very much felt like a bit of a roadmap to life in some ways, not always. And also an identifiable sort of show that really spoke to me at the time. And still does, to be honest. I rewatch this show so much, and like every time I do, I still take something different away from it.
It's interesting you say that, and also referencing some of our other Buffy shows. We had Jeff Pruitt from the show on. He was the stunt coordinator. And he said, like, I've done hundreds of movies with Dolph Lundgren and that. He said, there's only 2 of them I'll actually rewatch, and that's Buffy and Star Trek Deep Space Nine, because the writing and the characters were just so good on them. He said he won't watch anything else with his work on it.
Fair. The Buffy movie is like, I know it's a contentious one because a lot of people are like, oh, it's not what the original vision was meant to be, and it's not good. I love it, right? That is cheese personified.
Yes.
Like, I saw that after watching the original Buffy. I think if I'd seen it the other way around, I might feel differently. But because I saw it after I'd already seen the series, I just thought it was like such a ridiculously silly good time.
Yeah. And one amazing soundtrack as well. It's one of
exactly.
Soundtrack.
Welcome to the Jungle in itself, the fact that it's in the film, it was amazing.
And it's also just, what would the series have been like if they'd gone with Donald Sutherland's version of A Watcher, which is just off the wall.
it's like that was so
so bizarre.
Even watching that at the time I did, because I was still fairly young when my mum bought me the DVD. And I'm watching it kind of going, are you meant to be a good guy? You're kind of giving me weird vibes right now, man. Yeah. Like, you're in a girl's locker room. Why? There might be other girls in there that aren't Buffy.
Yeah. You lost yourself there.
Yeah, sorry. I was just thinking Buffy stuff.
Sorry, this
Alright.
happens. I go off on tangents, then we end up
No,
so
don't
far
worry.
left of where we started.
It's literally it's a show that I will watch at least once a year from start to finish. So, you know, we can talk about Buffy, we can talk about wrestling, whatever.
I say, like, it's all intertwined for me.
All of the above. It's all
I
good
do
things.
kind of joke. I do kind of jokingly, well, I say jokingly, I actually do make them do this, but any partner that I have had in life, I have made them watch Buffy in its entirety and Angel. And I mean, really watch it. I have to sit there and make them lock in because I'm like, right, see, if you don't watch this show, you're not going to get me as a human being and you're not going to get most of my references. And that's going to be a problem. So you're going to sit here and you're going to watch all 7 seasons of Buffy and all 5. Yes, all 5. You're watching season 5.
Yeah.
All season 5, 5 seasons even of Angel. And you will understand why I am the way I am.
Yeah.
And then you will read the comic books. You will watch Firefly. You can watch Dollhouse. We might say Dollhouse is optional, but you really should watch it as well.
Yeah.
And so on.
Anything with Eliza Dushku in it, just anything. But yeah, no, my partner, James Blair, who goes by Old School Cool, he's also a wrestler, and literally when we got together, I was like, right, okay, so we're gonna sit down, we're gonna do this, and he's like, wait, are you serious? I was like, I am dead serious. By the end of it, he was such a fan. He was asking me all the questions.
Yeah.
He's like, is there any more of this? I was like, so there's books, I've got some of them. He's like, there's comic books, I've got most of them. I was like, you can borrow them. And I'm sitting going through all of it, and he's like, right, okay, and he's like, and there's different ones. I was like, yeah, so there's Faith and Angel, and there's Spike, and I'm like,
wow.
he is totally hooked out. Every time he's out, he's in Glasgow, he's looking for comic books for all of this now.
We had Nancy Holder, who wrote a lot of the tie-in books.
She was on last week with us.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
When's that?
I'll need to go back and have a wee look at that.
We'll link you to it. It's going to be out properly next Friday, so I'll send you the link. She was lovely and such a laugh as well.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear
you
that.
say that, and I think I can say this on air. We've got actually one of the artists from the Buffy comics coming on soon as well. So
which one?
It's the guy who Jorges is, how do you say that name? But he was the penciler on season 8 and 9.
Right. Okay. I'm trying to remember. There was another guy. I think it was something West, who also did some of the comic book art. I've actually got to meet him ages ago at a Comic-Con. It was so nice. And it was one of those random ones where we're both looking at the same thing, and then I was kind of like, are you? It is you. So just took the opportunity to have the conversation.
Well, if we're short of hosts in the future for any Buffy stuff, we might ring you up. So.
Anytime.
Do we still have a character that's needed for the Buffy role-playing game?
I'll double check that. We're actually going to do a session of the Buffy role-playing game if you might be interested.
Yeah, I'd be interested in that. Definitely.
But I think Rhiannon's bagseed's Buffy already, so that's the only problem. So.
I'm flexible.
Rhiannon's fiery, but I don't think would she take on Ruby? I don't know. It'd be interesting. Rhiannon versus Ruby. No, I was going to ask, see with the blue hair, I know this is a daft question, but do you automatically get put into the heel as a woman with blue hair in wrestling, do you think?
So not always. I'll be honest, it's a 50-50 split. I get asked to do half face, half heel. And to be honest, I always say to people, it's basically just me turned right up to 11, and it depends whether it's me on a good day or me on a bad day. But yeah, no, the blue hair. So depending whether I'm working face or heel, I'll style it differently. I'll sort of pair different gear and different colours with it to sort of tell a different story depending on. So with healer or more heelish things, I'll have like sort of more blacks, sort of more darker colours, try and sort of have less high sort of contrast. Whereas when I'm face, I'm very high contrast, really bright colours, and try and sort of keep it as visually smiley as possible. And then still batter the living crap out of someone.
What's your preferred style for battering the living crap out of someone?
Brawler.
Brawler.
Yep. I always make the joke that I'm a ground Pokemon. I am Diglett. I am Misty on the ground. I have had small wee sort of voyages into high flying nonsense, and it's not for me. I will once in a while, if I have to, if I'm really needing to, throw myself at someone. But if I can do it from the ground, I will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned your partner is a wrestler. Do you guys ever tag team together, or?
Yes, so
Okay.
we've had the opportunity to tag together on SWE, which is Scottish Wrestling Entertainment in Dundee, and W3L Wrestling in a few different locations as they're a touring company. And yeah, it's usually we're a face tag team. Not always. We did have a bit of a feud with Mike Musso in SWE, where we were a tag team against him and his partner Claire. And also I was his Old School Cool's manager for the feud that they had over sort of like the last year, over 2025. It's been a lot of fun, and yeah, basically he's big 80s, very kind of Macho Man meets Hogan meets random creator wrestler get kind of guy. Like it's all cheesy puns and showing off the guns. So he does that. I'm more of the kind of angry, aggressive, schemey, right, no, you said too much, I'm going to batter the crap out of you now kind of energy. So we kind of try and marry those two things together.
Is he still banned from Dundee?
Yes, unfortunately, he did kind of try something a bit cheeky the other day, or the other week when we were in the Rumble. May or may not have come in with actually I have it here, said mask and new gear, and did try to see if he could slip under the radar, but unfortunately he was demasked pretty quickly and then immediately ejected. I feel bad though, because I kind of laughed a little bit. The way he went was really funny, and then I felt bad about it. But like, they proper chased him out the building. It was so funny.
So the funniest thing I ever saw for that was when Bo Dallas lost the Loser Leaves NXT match.
Yeah.
And they were chasing him around Full Sail, and he's just ad-libbing. You need to see this, Cal. You will.
All right.
How to put it nicely. You will wet yourself laughing.
Yes.
Old
School Cool showed me that a wee while ago, and I was wetting myself.
You touched my bum.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm sure I've stolen at least one or two wee bits out of that in the past. I'm sure they've just come out when I've been ad-libbing in the So it's like there's no new ideas in the world. There's just new ways to present them.
Yeah. I think what we discovered. When you go, Cal.
So it's still tag teaming with your own partner. Is that a challenge, or do you find it easier than?
So I kind of find it all like a lot easier in some ways, and then also in other ways coming up with it. Like, do you know that way you're not going to plan the exact same way you would plan with someone else, because you have a slightly different communication dynamic with someone that you're in a relationship with. So sometimes we'll be trying to plan things, and then we'll realize that we're like talking to each other, not like wrestlers, but we'll be talking to each other like a couple, and be like, right, okay, no, we need to wrestling mode just now. We're not having an argument, we're having a discussion. But with the actual training and sort of coming up with what we're doing and the physicality, and also anticipating each other's moves and what we're thinking, that all comes a lot more easily with each other, just because we know each other so like intimately well. But yeah, it does sort of present its own challenges where you need to not treat bits of wrestling like he's forgot to do the dishes, or or like someone's left their socks on the floor. Yeah, you kind of have to be like, no, not a couple right now, a tag team.
Because it's interesting, if you remember, Graeme, what Heather said. She tags teams with her partner.
Yep.
And the challenge they have is one of them's from Ohio, one of them's from Michigan. When they're in Michigan, the Ohio one is the heel, and when they're in the other one, and it's like, yeah, it's hard to adjust to that. Like wherever they go between the two states, one of them's just hated by automatically. So.
See, quite luckily in Scotland, it's kind of split down the middle. It's like East
Yeah.
Coast and West
Yeah.
Coast. So we're
Yeah.
both West Coast. We're not always, I will say, we're not always both face or both heel. Sometimes we do
Yeah.
get split up. There was a show in Stirling last year for EPW American Wrestling where I was a heel, he was a face. And that did not go well for him. But it is what it is. That's the job. So
Yep.
So
I felt really
Well-
bad because like when your partner's got to take the pin and you're the one doing it, you're just like, I'm sorry, darling.
right.
Stay down.
So what city in Scotland gives you the fiercest reception? Like, would you say the most hostile when you come out? Do you think? Is there any city that just
I will say Dundee. I get like Dundee's a very mixed reaction, but it's there, if that makes sense. It's
Yeah.
kind of split down the middle because I am the SWE Women's Champion and like I was a face for quite a long time. Then James Blair came along, kind of turned me onto the dark side, and now I'm a bit of a dick. And because of that, I'm kind of split a bit down the middle where I've got kind of half people are like cheering, yay, go Ruby, and then the other half are like, you suck. To be honest, it's all interaction. Shout at me as loud as you hate me, cool. Hate me, go for it. If you like me, great. Scream that from the rafters and all. Whatever you've got for me. If you think I'm a fat cow, if you think I'm boring, I don't care. You've got an opinion, shout it, go for it. And Dundee really do. I mean, they really go for it. There's one wee fan who is there every single show. They've made themselves a special T-shirt with the picture of mine that they bought. They I mean, like every show, and without fail, I don't care if I am a good guy, I don't care if I am a bad guy, I will go out and I will say that she is the only smart one in the crowd. Like, see her, she's my favourite, she's the only smart one because she's the only one that's here every single time, she's the only one that's supported me, like this one. Like, even if I'm the bad guy, I'm like, yous are all idiots, but she's really smart. I like her.
What's the thing you've done in the ring that you're proudest of?
Oh, that's a really good question. Because I think at points I want to say that it's maybe my first debut. Because I don't do anything normally. COVID happened right after my debut, and then I basically completely changed shape, lost weight, completely changed character, and then re-debuted. So I had two. But when my first debut, the very first time that I got to perform in front of a crowd, that in itself was such a huge departure from what I ever thought I was actually going to get to do with my life, that when I actually got to do it and get to do it in front of a crowd that was mostly made up by my friends and family, because of where respect is, I have a huge amount of family in this area. Like, I'm one of 7 kids, and like they've all started having kids, and like there's millions of us. So to be able to go out and do that in front of friends and family who had supported me when I was going through my chronic illness decline, when I was really struggling, and for them to have supported me all the way along, and then to have them be there for me to do that was like one of the proudest things that I think I'll ever do in wrestling. The second would probably be getting the W3L Women's Championship. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't have it for long, but I got my very, very first outside booking for W3L. I was obviously with Respect Pro Wrestling. I'm still with Respect Pro Wrestling. But my first outside of that booking was W3L. They were the first company to ever put me in a main event. They were the first company to really sort of put belief in me and sort of really give me a chance to show what I could do outside of my own sort of situation in my own family. So that meant an enormous amount for me. Like, it took 5 years of like constant throwing myself at the wall and just not quite getting there and being pipped to the post and just being overtaken at the last second, or having various belts smacked in my face, or like to finally get to hold that championship up and and get to say that I was the women's champion finally, even if it was only for 30 days, was a huge thing for me. And it's sort of, it's not even specifically because of just the belt, it's all of the things around the belt. It's the fact it was that company, it was the fact that they put that sort of faith in me, and for them to sort of let me be the next in line for that, to be able to do that, was amazing.
You mentioned you being in front of your friends and family quite a bit. Do they do their part if you're heel, or do they find it really difficult to boo you?
No, they don't. They don't find it difficult to boo me at all. Yeah, no, my family are, when they do come to shows, because they don't come very often. They're not like, my brothers liked wrestling when we were younger, but they didn't really stay with it. So they're not really big wrestling people. I usually feel bad because what they'll do is, if they do come to a show, it's usually what, like, local to us. And they'll watch my match and then just leave. Because they don't like wrestling, but they like to come and see me, and then I always apologise to the promoter, because I'm like, I'd swear to ask them not to do this. They just really don't really like wrestling. Sorry. But yeah, no, they are really good about booing me and making sure to, like, shout things, and I'll usually sort of give them some stuff preloaded, because if I don't, I'm genuinely scared what might be coming.
Have they got the
Yeah.
worst? Have they got the worst insults for you when you come out as a heel? The friends and family, or
Yeah, or like sometimes just the funniest. So the re-debut, when I came back, a childhood friend who is a musician came to see me, and he was like, "Do you mind if I make signs?" I was like, "Yeah, no, go for it." It's like, be as mean as you want. He used to be a comedian. I didn't think about the fact that he was going to just be stupid and funny. And I think one of them was, Rubi Roberts gets on Morty wash her gear. And I'm just like, I don't even know what to say to that. Would I even say that? And then I think another one was just something stupid, like Ruby Roberts smells, and like a pair of underpants, and there was like, he made loads of these little cardboard signs, and every time I turned round, he'd taken another one out. I was just like, I'm trying so hard not to absolutely crease laughing, because I'm trying to, like, proper mean mug it and, like, do the thing, and he's like, meh. The way that I literally, when I walked out after the match, I just smacked the hat right off his head, because I was like, "You're a dick."
I was saying, no, and staying on that, like you mentioned, you're a mum. Like, how do you see it? Is it just the one kid you have?
Yes, I have one son. He is 19. I had him quite young, and yeah, he's a Gen Z.
All right, and
Yep.
how's he when he's in the crowd watching you?
So he's really not into wrestling. He also has autism, and he's not really into loud noises or a lot of like stuff going on. He is very sweet. He watches my matches. Usually what I'll do is get them recorded, and then we'll watch them at home together. Because it's just a more comfortable environment for him, and we can sit there and talk about it and sort of enjoy it together. But really, if it's not me doing it, he's not really that interested. The only person in wrestling other than me that he's interested in is The Rock. For but nothing to do with wrestling. He just thinks The Rock's cool as shit. I don't know why. Like, he genuinely, but he also had like a thing with Danny DeVito for a while as well, where he just thought Danny DeVito was like the GOAT. And I'm like, I mean, I don't disagree, but why? He just is. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Was he watching It's Always Sunny or something?
Yeah. I think, you know, I thought it might be because, like, he adopted somebody, or because he's a really good human being, or because he donates loads of money to charity, or what, like, any of the millions of other, like, really good stuff that he's actually done. No, he's just like, no, because he's Danny DeVito.
He's Frank Reynolds.
Yeah, like, okay, cool. Okay. Teenagers, man.
Yeah. What do you do for ring music?
So, at the moment, I am using a song called Living Dead by the Pretty Wild. They are a female band that I've sort of came about recently that I'm like, oh, I love the energy of this. This feels very me. I'm like, yes, love this. Before that, I've used a few different songs. At one point, I was using Timmy Trumpet's "Freaks." It was sort of like facey music for when it was like a bit more bouncy. And then for a long time, I was also using Korn "Here to Stay." But I recently found out that so I was watching an interview with Piper Niven, and Piper Niven and I went to school together. We were in the same class, and she started wrestling much younger than I did and stuck in it and smashed it. Is doing amazing. But basically, my cousin Bobby Roberts and her were very good friends. They trained at Source together, and he gave me that song and told me to use it. And then I'm watching an interview with Piper Niven, where she goes, "Yeah, no, I used to use Korn "Here to Stay. I wish I could still use that song." And I'm going, mother, he can. Like, do you know what I mean? There's nothing I could do about it. I've been doing this for years, and I had no idea. And then I was just like, I'm going to kill him. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I'm going to get back to that.
Can I just say on the subject of Piper Niven, in the last couple of weeks, she has put out probably my favourite bit of social media in a long time. Her response to Jade Cargill. It was the most Scottish response I've seen to anything. And for those of you outside of Scotland, just 4 or 5 words?
Yeah.
5 words.
What is it?
Like
Eat my
Maringa, like Maringa, but I saw it and
I literally saw that and went, that is the most Coburny thing I've ever seen you say. I that honestly, I was pissing myself laughing when I read that, because I was like, yep, that's the one I know. That, yep.
That's Piper through and through, is it?
It's all these big daft bits that catch my attention. See more than the big overarching huge storylines. They're good, but see the wee bits that are funny.
Yeah,
they're the bits that keep me coming back. Always was.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think every sort of, because I feel like there's a kind of tiered system. There's like your kind of, obviously your main event sort of people in your main event matches, and then there's your kind of lower tier, and then your kind of mid card, and then like sort of there's NXT and sort of stuff. If you're going by the WWE specifically, but with that, there's a place for everyone, but there's a place for everybody to find a different interest in them. And it doesn't always have to be the main event. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the main events, but I'm kind of like you, and I love Chelsea Green right now.
Yep.
Like, I honestly, she is the level of performer that I really aspire to try and be. And like, it's not even like I can say when I get older, because like she's like pretty much not that far off my age. So like, I just need to get better. But I love what she's doing and the matches that she's getting, and the way that she not just sells, but like really over dramatizes every little bit, but just the right way. Like, that's the kind of stuff that brings me back in. Like, I love characters. Yes, I don't mind the drama of a main event, but I was never really someone that watched like boxing or UFC or like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So with me, wrestling was always more about the stories being told, and like Kane and his brother Undertaker, and the fact his face got burned, and like that was the stuff that really resonated with me in wrestling. So like, main events are great, but I love the building blocks as well, getting up to that, and how everybody's getting on, and the kind of like telenovela bits.
Yeah. See, I think, I mean, I've mentioned it on our podcast before, but my all-time favourite is William Regal. Just because there's so many bits of comedy that he pulls in, that for those of us from UK, you can see the bits that are straight out of Carry On, you can see the bits that are straight out of all the different comedians. You're like, I get that. That's for us.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I love the fact that he's this tough looking, no messing English guy, kind of like a before Vinnie Jones kind of energy guy, but was fucking flipping hysterical. Sorry.
You know what?
But like, he was so funny, and he was not scared to be the coward. He wasn't scared to like make himself not look like the biggest, scariest guy that's ever lived. He used all of it in the comedy, and like you said, all of the sort of stuff that he sort of collected along the way as somebody in Britain with British comedy, and used that to become one of the most entertaining wrestlers of the time. Like you could literally stick him in with almost anybody in any role, and he would done amazing. And like, there's so much to be learned for people, like for us, from what he did and all the different sort of assets and facets. That's the word. All the different sort of facets to his character work. Like, there's so much for us to learn from that, and that's like something that I really aspire to as well, is to try and sort of become a multi-tool, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I want to be able to just have somebody be like, oh crap, we need somebody to be like Santa's other mistress and she's going to fight Mrs. Claus because this happened, on you go. And I'd be like, cool, no bother, I can do that. I don't know where that came from, but yeah.
And I'm just going to say, you don't need to worry about the swearing, because we recently had a guest on, and I don't think anyone will eclipse that man for swearing and some of the graphic descriptions he made of things. So,
absolutely.
but it's just, I was going to say that I asked Chip this: are you ever surprised by some of the people you meet that are really into wrestling? Because, you know, speaking to people at large, they always see wrestling as basically this kind of dumb trash. And I was like, Chip, what's this? Like, I go into the ring and there's like, you know, like these high up doctors from, you know, Edinburgh, you know, training medical school and all this. Yeah, he's wrestled with. It's just like, he says he's never saw just the universal reach this thing has. It's unreal.
Yeah, no, literally through wrestling, I've met people who have been like in the SAS. I've met people who are from like Brazil and do Brazilian capoeira. I've met people from various different countries, different job roles, people who are in the police, people who are studying to be microbiologists. Like, there's no kind of one type of fan.
Yeah.
Wrestling's something that, like, I always think it's so funny that wrestling gets the amount of hate that it does get or has gotten in the past, because one, some of them are lying because the viewing figures don't lie. And there is so much wrestling being produced, somebody's watching it. But it's like this amazing unifying thing that just, it's telling stories. And I don't understand why people are so negative towards it, because they're like, oh, it's fake. First of all, not fake, predetermined. Get in the ring and try it, then tell me it's fake. Like, I have chronic pain, and I can tell you this it hurts. It hurts a lot. It's not just, you know, I'm going to run in and pretend to get hit. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of discipline. It's very hard on your body, and there's a reason that we all need new knees and hips by the time we're like 60. So, like, it's not fake, it's predetermined, but it's still storytelling. It's the same as going and watching EastEnders or Coronation Street or Hollyoaks. I mean, it's better than Hollyoaks, but like, it's watching a story being told. We're just telling the story with our bodies, and I've never really understood the kind of level of hate that it gets. So I'm like, yes, okay, we're wearing spandex costumes and we're dressed like superheroes, but like, you go to see Avengers.
Or even, like, you know, it's bizarre. Like, what's the real difference between that and ballet? It's telling a story and they're jumping around as well. I mean, I find it quite funny because there was that musical that was in Edinburgh last year. Is it Valhalla or something it was called?
Yeah.
And suddenly,
Mythos,
that's legitimate. But when they do it in a ring on a Saturday night, oh no, just, we don't hear it. But they do it on a Edinburgh stage with some glamorous music. Oh yeah, we can get behind this now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if I hit head scissors, they're going, ooh, do you think you're fancy? But Black Widow hits one in the first Avengers movie and they're like, oh, look at her bum. Yeah, she's legit. Like, okay, cool. Make that make sense.
Yeah.
Are there, we'll just segue a wee bit from that, are there moves that you are hitting that you didn't think you would be hitting?
So head scissors is one of them. I don't get to hit them very often because I'm not going to lie, because of I'm like in the kind of middle range for height. There's a lot of people who are either like quite a lot smaller than me or a bit taller than me, but not really like a lot of a height difference or like that. So it doesn't always make sense for me to be able to hit it. But when I do get to hit it, it's always fun because I never thought I'd be throwing myself about and upside down and things. Anything off of the ropes, like whatsoever. I cannot tell you the level of fear that I have jumping off of things. It's slightly different when you're in a match because you have such a level of adrenaline going that it kind of helps you to just be like, okay, screw it, let's just go. But like like so many hours have been spent in the last like 8 years in training with me having to build myself up to like jumping off the bottom one and then jumping off the middle one and then shaking like a leaf on the top one for quite a long time before I could jump off of it. But through sort of eventually getting there, anything off the ropes, like we've managed a rana, we've managed a few different sort of drop kicks, various different things, crossbodies. I never thought I'd be able to do any of that. So the fact that I can, I'm just like, yes, let's see what else we can do without dying.
And I've got to ask, following that up, what's the biggest cock up in the ring that you've had that you've been able to recover from that you're most proud of? No, when it just went so wrong, but you somehow managed to instantly come back. You're just like, oh, yeah, quite happy with that.
So it wasn't necessarily a cock up exactly. It was more environment screwed me over. I was wrestling in Sweden and it was a huge deal for me. I was wrestling Alice Inc. It was the first time I got to wrestle her. And like she's the Scandinavian dragon. She's a huge deal. So like I was really nervous anyway. And it was during the summer and it was hot as balls. It was so bad. It was so warm. And like I am very Scottish. I don't really tan. I can't put fake tan on because I am blue toned, literally. I go orange when I put fake tan on, so I can't wear it. And everyone's like, you're so pale. Could you not like tan? I'm like, you do not want that. I will look like a what's it. I'm aware that I look like a Twilight vampire right now, and sometimes we have to adjust the lighting. But like, no, nobody wants a tangled Ruby. No. But because of this, I also don't deal with like super really hot rooms very well. I'm normally fine, but this was like I'd been traveling, I'd been on a plane to get there, we'd just got there and then went straight to the venue. We hadn't eaten a lot that day. So like I'm in the ring and all of a sudden everything just like we're doing the match and everything just whites out and I'm like, you just see me in the footage just kind of stand still like a robot. I'm just kind of standing there. And then all of a sudden, from my point of view, all of a sudden it sort of started like pixelating from the middle out the way that I could see again. I'm like, oh, I'm wrestling. Oh, I'm in the middle of a thing. Like, do you know that way? It was like I just completely checked out of my body for a wee minute and then had to like click back in, try and remember where I was in the match, try and remember what the hell was happening and what was where am I? Thankfully it came back fairly quickly, but my first instinct was just to run. I saw Alice and just ran at her. I was just like, do something. So I just kind of ran at her. We recovered it from there. It was fine. But it was just, for me, that was just kind of one of the scarier ones, but also thankfully recovered and not really too disruptive to the match. Like, do you know that way? Unless you kind of knew that it was a bit of a fuck up because I went blank, it didn't necessarily look that bad. It just felt like it went on for a lot longer in my head than it actually went on. But yeah, just that kind of moment of, oof, and then I'm like, oh God, what's happening? Oh, I'm in a wrestling ring. Run, just do something.
Was it like a proper wee moment of like sensory overload and everything else just working against you? And
so I think it was a precursor to fainting. So it was sometimes I, not very often, but sometimes when it's really, really, really warm, it's almost like a sort of step between fainting and sort of starting to feel like I'm going to faint. It's almost this sort of second where I'm like, it just everything just blanks out and I'm just kind of like, and then if I don't snap out of it, then I will eventually sort of just faint and go. Thankfully, in the last sort of 10 years, it's only happened twice. Once at training, because it was literally nearly 40 degrees in Scotland, and it was god awful. And for some reason, we thought it was a great idea to train. And then just that match as well, which again, it was nearly 40 degrees outside. The inside of the building, it was inside a nightclub with no windows, and it was all painted black. And don't get me wrong, it was really cool, but it was really, really hot inside. So yeah, it was kind of just like, I think my body was like, I need a minute. You are too hot and you are running, and you'd stop. Like, I think my body was genuinely just like, you need to take a second or I'm going to force you to faint. But thankfully I didn't, because that would have been just genuinely for me more mortifying. But yeah, no, thankfully I didn't faint. We recovered it very quickly. You wouldn't really have known. It's just, for me, that was the first time something like that had happened in a match, and I was just like, oh, I don't like that. Since then, I have had a couple of concussions in matches, and a couple of injuries in matches that have resulted in having to sort of work out what the hell was going on. I did accidentally get a knee to the back of the head in Sweden as well. I was draped over the ropes, so I'd been like suplexed up onto the rope. I'm hanging over. The person's jumped off the top rope, and the knees just kind of clipped the back of my head. It was a complete accident. That it just landed where it did. But like, you can literally see in the footage, like I pass out and then re-wake up as I hit the ground, when I've come off the rope. So like, I've been knocked out, and then when I've hit the ground, I've kind of bounced up like, oh god, am I okay? Yeah, we went and got it checked when I got home, and they were like, so you have a grade 4 concussion. I was like, that explains a lot. I don't remember the last of the match. But thankfully all healed and fine now. But yeah, no, that was one where, I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't tell you how we finished the match unless I actually go back and rewatch it again, because I've it's just not there.
Yeah. Mentioned wrestling in nightclubs, but that you had wrestled in the Arches. What was that like?
I want to wrestle in the Arches.
You want to wrestle.
So the first ever Fierce Female show was in the Arches. Which was amazing. It was the first time I got to see the Owens twins. I got to see Kaylee Ray in a hardcore match where she took thumbtacks, and I'd never seen anybody do that in real life before. And it pinned her gear to her backside. So it was one bit of it stretched with a pin and got stuck, and it just pinned it to her. And the whole way through the match, I'm just going, I want to fix it. I want to fix it. That's so horrific seeing that. I just want to fix it. But yeah, that was in the Arches. I would love to get the chance to wrestle in the Arches at some point. It was such a cool venue, and because of the acoustics in there, with obviously the actual Arches, it was such a unique, really cool venue. I would love to do that, but at the moment, I don't think anybody's planning on running it. If you do, give me a shout. If you don't ask, you don't get.
Exactly.
Right, Graeme, we're coming up for time there, so I'll let you have a final question.
But I'll go with the question I always ask. What's next for Ruby?
Oh, so I always say that I just want to keep pushing and see how far I can get. I know that I have a match coming up for Respect Pro Wrestling on the 30th of May, which will be me and 3 other women to be announced. And that will be for the first ever Respect Pro Wrestling women's title. So I'm hoping that the near future, I will be the new Respect Pro Wrestling women's champion, as well as the SWE women's champion. And then hopefully every other champion in the UK at some point. But that's just,
belt collector.
Yeah, hopefully one day.
Yeah.
We'll get there. But yeah, that's basically, I just want to push it as far as I can push it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, we're going to end with our usual way, Ruby. I don't know if you've seen before. We do some quick fire questions.
Oh, excellent. I haven't seen, but let's go.
All right. So number 1, you have to cut a promo using only items found in Tesco Express. So what weapon are you choosing?
The basket. Because, right, hear me out. 1, you can heat it up, and it's like a grate to the face. You can rip it apart, and then there's various different weapons in that, and you can cut a bitch with that.
Yep. So which wrestler, past or present, would you trust to babysit your plants?
ODB, but I feel like she would probably put beer in the plant, so they'd probably be a lot happier by the time I got home.
Yeah, because the next part of that question, which one would absolutely kill them? So I think you got them both.
Oh, ODB as well.
So your entrance theme has to be replaced by a children's TV theme. Which one?
Ooh, either The Worst Witch or what was that other vampire? It was like a cartoon. It's not
Docula.
Mabel.
It's not Docula, no.
Oh my god, that'll do, yeah.
All right.
Can you get Nanny as a manager?
That would be so cool. I would love that.
So you're offered a tag team partner, but it has to be a cryptid. Who you choose? Which one are you choosing?
Oh. Now I'm trying to remember what constitutes as a cryptid. That's just a creature, isn't it?
Yeah, mythical creatures kind of thing. We'll broaden it. Just
Shapeshifter.
Okay.
So then I can have a multi-tool of a person as well.
Right, this one's interesting. What's the most unhinged finishing move name you could give to a completely mundane task? So, like, for instance, tying your shoelaces or doing the ironing or, hoovering. Like, if you've got to come up with a completely over-the-top wrestling name for one of them.
Oh, that's like a... Oh no, I'm going to end up thinking about this all evening now after I've given an answer.
You'll be asking everyone tomorrow at the next event.
See, I feel bad because the only thing I can think now, because you said shoelaces, is hangman's noose. That's just horrific.
I can see you were ticking there as well, Graeme. I want to hear yours.
No, you don't.
Okay.
No, you really don't.
Okay, all right. Here's another weird one. If you had to wrestle in an outfit inspired by a household appliance, which appliance would you cosplay as?
A babless hair curler, because they're usually black and pink. I can work with that.
All right.
Just straight practicality there.
You get to rename every championship belt in the world. What's the title for the top belt? What name would you give the top belt in the world?
Most excellent super heavyweight championship of the world.
Okay. What snack food best represents your in-ring energy?
Do you know how Cadbury's bar, but it's got like the jelly beans and the popping candy in it?
Yep, Marvelous Creations.
That. Because you bite into it and you don't know which bit of it you're going to get, and then it's all of a sudden like, oh my god, it's doing things. That.
Oh. Okay, if you could ban one wrestling trope forever, which one would it be?
Oh, I don't know.
Graeme, do you have
yes.
one trope in wrestling?
Maybe not so much a trope, but one move in particular. See the catapult, where they hold the legs and then rock back.
Yeah.
That does my head in. I hate it with a passion. No, it doesn't work. So it doesn't quite count as a trope, but that if it was a trope, I guess everyone having an evil GM.
I don't know if mine's a trope exactly. Now that I think about it, it's more just I have like this little bugbear with obviously a lot of wrestling is geared towards kids, and we have to make things very visual and easily understandable for kids. But it does genuinely annoy me sometimes because there is a difference between functional strength and like show muscles. Yeah. And as somebody who grew up as a butcher in a butchering family and had to lift bits of cow and throw pigs over my shoulder and things, I am a lot more physically able than I look, but then have to, generally sort of not portray as physically strong as I actually could be or am, because it visually doesn't always make sense, which then makes me want to scream at people. So, like, do you know that way? I'm like, at the same time as saying, obviously, there's a place for everyone in wrestling. Sometimes you do get put in a wee box where, like, you're a medium person, so you're a medium person. That's all you can do. And it's like, bitch, I could throw you about this ring myself. What are you talking about? I have grown men all the time.
And also, what's the pettiest reason that you'd refuse a match?
I haven't yet. I have a thing about not refusing to do them. Like, I have a really big thing about professionalism, and I, especially because I grew up in our family business, and like the one person that I really, really looked up to as a child and growing up was my grandpa, and he was a consummate professional. Everything was business first.
Yeah.
The business keeps the family going. We need to keep this going. And it was he handle every situation with as much dignity and grace as possible going forward. And you don't say no to opportunities unless you are wholeheartedly ready to lose what you might lose for saying no.
Yeah.
And thus far, don't get me wrong, if I wrestled people that I don't necessarily get along with in real life, yeah. But at the end of the day, it's a job. And it's a job I want to do full time. And it's a job that I would pretty much do almost anything to be able to do. So unless you killed my granny or like really, really did something horrendously wrong, I'm not going to refuse to do it. Because it's a job at the end of the day, and it's my job to accept the work and do what I can. Don't get me wrong, there are some exceptions to that, but for the most part, so far, I've been really lucky. I haven't had to say no yet.
Okay, that's good, because the next question is, would you consider coming up to Stornoway?
Oh, definitely. Honestly, I keep saying I want to push it as far as I can in as many different places as I can. If somebody puts a show on in Stornoway, I will wrestle there.
Because part of me was like, I wonder if she'll just go no for the laugh.
Oh no, I'll literally go anywhere. Don't get me wrong, I might slag your granny, but I'll be there.
And if anyone wants to reach out to you or follow you, where can they find you, Ruby?
So I am under Ruby, the Basic Bee Slayer, or the Basic Bitch Slayer on most platforms. I am Rubi Roberts 0 on TikTok, and that is Ruby spelled L. What? Oh my god. I messed up my outro. So my name is spelled Rubi, and then Roberts, the same way as Jake the Snake. So yeah, try and find me. I can't speak.
Graeme, your final thoughts there.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming on our wee show. Thank you for talking wrestling and Buffy. You know, you've hit all of my little special interests there. I'm like, yay!
Excellent.
I told you this would help your migraine. What better, Buffy and wrestling talk?
See, Buffy fixes everything.
It does.
And well, we don't need to ask you if you'd be interested in joining in maybe 1 or 2 other Buffy shows. We'll definitely figure something out there.
Excellent, and thank you very much for having me on today. I'd definitely be interested in any Buffy or wrestling related content you've got. I'm happy to help out.
Well, we'll keep that in mind. And what else was? Oh yeah, as we almost forgot, Graeme, go and support indie wrestling, please.
Yes,
we
please.
always say that at the end. Go out to support. There's loads of good stuff out there. So with that, we're ending. Our next show is actually got 2 shows on Sunday. Bizarrely, got one in the morning. We're speaking to Kaz in Malaysia again because last show was a disaster tech-wise. Then in the evening, we're back to wrestling. The one and only Mickey Knuckles is joining us. That's going to be something.
That's going to be amazing. Have fun with that.
Look forward to it.
Yeah, I think she's got
watch that one.
She's definitely got some interesting stories. And then our next wrestling show is end of this month, and it's Jules Bradley, as we keep calling him, the mullet man from Florida.
Love that.
We'll have to send you a picture, and you'll just go, "Oh yeah, he's from Florida, that man." But he's meant to be one of the loveliest guys as well.
Florida mullet. I know it's not a universally loved haircut, but I love a Florida mullet. It's so over the top, and it's just so specifically ridiculous.
There's no beating Jules's mullet. I think, Graeme, is there? I think I've shown plenty folk.
But you can maybe sway Old School Cool to do it.
Oh, I'm working on it. I'm trying to get him to bleach it. His hair's naturally dark. I'm trying to get him to bleach it like light bulb yellow. Like we're talking like Ric Flair in the 80s, like full on ridiculousness. And then I want to try and shape it. We'll see if he lets me.
All right. With that, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Ruby, for your time. It's been fantastic, and we'll see you all very soon. Good night and take care.
Night.
Good night.